Hi everyone, this is Naomi Denmother of EQII Traders Corner with the second quest in the Reign of Shadows Tradeskill signature line. This quest picks up directly after the Delineation of Method quest, and it again starts with Hulda Flintbraid. And of course, once you start chatting with her, you mention dangers, and she starts going off on a tangent because she's just a nervous wreck about all of the dangers, and her imagination runs wild. Once you get her back on track, she lets you know that Excavator Gibbons in the Rakuso dig site needs help. They are trying to get a path through the Echo Caverns area to the other side, and they're having some problems. So Hulda the Nervous sends you on in her place. You will head to the west doorway, which is Echo Caverns, and you will go through. Now, this is an overland zone. There are dangers. You can dodge them. It just takes a little bit of work, so that's part of what this video is for. So you are going to come down here. You're going to avoid most of the dangers. You're going to see these rock gnars all over the place. There are also flying mosquitoes. If we took all of the ramps and so forth all the way down to the quarry, we'd get things like that aggressive Needleite who decided to go after me because, excuse me, I was just standing there when he re-popped. You don't want to do that. You want to come down, excuse me, come down here, and whether or not you have safe fall or glide or anything like that, this should be a relatively safe jump, so you just jump down. And I'll show you where you are on the map. So you came in at the red arrow that says to Fort Elmist, and you basically went south and jumped over the edge. Now that you're here, you just come down here a little to the right, and you see this nasty door that says, "Danger, do not enter, Rakuso dig site, dangerous conditions ahead." Well, your middle name may not be Danger, but you're one of the people that's going to make that area less dangerous. So you have to zone in. And you wait for the zone server, and you wait for the zone server, but that is all the aggro you deal with in this quest line. No, excuse me, in this specific quest. You will be hopping in and out of instances, but you will not be doing anything that's going to get you any aggro. So the only bad part about this second quest for the squishy crafters is going to be that little bit of running through Echo Caverns overland. And finally, I babbled long enough that it zoned me. Beta is a little slow on zoning at times. So this is where it starts you. There's your door where you came in. So over to the right, you see the quest book over the head of somebody that you assume is Excavator Gibbons. You'll see a barrier that leads onward, has an area that leads onwards from there, but you can't go through it yet. And you will see a crafting area with a fuel merchant. So head over to the quest book. Yes, indeed, it is Excavator Gibbons. Hello to you too, mister. So you tell them you're an experienced crafter, and they say that they're trying to get through to Limestone Forest or Fungus Grove, whichever the caves and tunnels go through. But there's a problem. And that problem is there are some aggressive critters. And on cue, your magic device from the Blood of Lucklin Tradeskill line has popped up a recipe that might actually help since brute force didn't happen. Now, if you didn't have a magic, then I believe Hulda nudges you to speak to the NPC next to her to pick one up, because they are available for sale for those who don't have their device or they don't have it with them and so forth. And you receive a class-specific scroll for anti-aggression, which is just a fancy way of saying you get a recipe scroll for some calming items. Now, the items that you get will be based on your class and subclass. So as a carpenter, I got a carpenter recipe and I got a recipe for craftsman. So if I search on calm, ignore the spells and so forth, I have the calming effigy of Chelius and the racked calming hourglass for my carpenter here. So each class will have one recipe that they share with their subclass and one recipe that is just for their class. So you will make both of those. The ingredients will vary based on what class you are and what items you have to make. So I'm not going to list them here. They are on the text-based walkthrough though. So you will make both. Both will have one rare needed for the recipe as well as some commons. So you will want to have the text-based walkthrough telling you exactly what you're going to need to bring. You really don't want to have to wander in and out of these instances just because it's a lot of extra travel. So we made both of the calming items. There we go. They're on the quest helper. You will notice that the barrier is now gone, but there are things that are aggro. Now, which of these will be aggro varies. It's random when you zone in. You need to avoid them, which is more or less impossible without some extra help, which is what the calming items are for. You need to clear both these pathways, both the one that's ahead and to the left and the one that's to the right. For one reason or another, I go right first, tiptoe around the corner, peekaboo. Okay, that one's dormant, he's active, but I can dodge him. So that's the first one I need to worry about, is the alerted Reishi. So I go until my calming item is in range, bada boom, bada bing. It's a 30-second calm, it's a 30-second cooldown. That's why you have two, so you can leapfrog. It's also only good for up to 0.5 meters. If you get closer than that, it's gonna chomp on you. I can ignore that one because I can dodge to this side. I can ignore the aggro Balanzite. I've got another calm one here. To be safe, I'm going to calm the mutant Reishi. And then go just outside his targeting window. I ignore that one, and I step into the light. Boom. That's that branching done. And they've all gone back into the ground or slumped over, resting, and that batch is calm. But now you have to go down the other branching, and that's got aggro. So back to your calming items. I'm back to the first one because the second one is in cooldown. I'm going to go right outside his aggro ring without calming the other and see if it works. Please, please. Thank you. Run the wall a little. That's calm. I can do that. That one's aggro. That one's aggro. So we'll do this one. Boom. It's calm. Run to the light. Done. As I said, the placement of the aggro ones is random. Sometimes you'll need to do more calming than I did. Sometimes you'll need to do less. But you're done this part of the quest, and you can run back through safely to go tell the excavator Gibbons that you put them all to sleep and that it's safe for them to progress through. So you finish with him. He tells you to stick to the light, which is their way of saying, don't die out there. He gives you a house pet. Rawr. And sends you back to the Nexus, this time to speak to a friend of his named Kessie about a problem with their business setup. So you head back to Echo Caverns. Run back up through all of those platforms and such, or evac. Even though I could evac, I'm going to go up the path just so that you can see it. And I cut the corner too close, so I got a bug. Thankfully, I've got my pet out, so it dealt with it. I should do better at dodging. But it's hard to dodge and talk at the same time. I'm just not that coordinated. So I'm going to navigate her and try not to talk too much. I'm going to try to ignore all the bugs along the way, which I failed, of course. And try not to AE when you're near a guard. So thankfully my pet killed it pretty quickly. And you're back to the entrance. So you can go back into the Nexus. Thankfully that zoning was a little quicker. Kessie is standing right next to Hulda. And here is the merchant that I mentioned that has both Banash's guide and magic in case you need them for anything. So we talk to Kessie. She talks about the fact that she and Pops have really, really loved the Echo Caverns and that they want to set up tours in the area because it's so pretty. But they need a little bit of help there. Of course, nobody can do anything without your help. Didn't you know that? So you head back to the west, to the Echo Caverns door, and this time, instead of going into the Echo Caverns Overland instance, you are looking for the Expedition Composition Tradeskill instance. And in you go. And again, this is going to be a safe area. There will be more crafting. There will be a lot of traveling. So you really don't want to do this chunk unless you're ready to do it all, because it's a lot of in-zone travel and it's a lot of backtracking and retracing your route if you log out and have to re-enter the instance, because it does not keep you in your same spot. It will put you back at the entrance again. So a little to the right, here's Pops. Of course, he's a gnome, just like Kessie was, but that means he's going to be a little eccentric. So you talk to him a bit, and he says, let's go, and then he doesn't move. Because, well, first he's going to chatter a bit, and then he's going to change into his gear, and then he's eventually going to toddle over. So you can run ahead of him. He's just going to do his own thing. So run up the ramp, and more ramp, and more ramp. Stare at this interesting airship that's here while you wait for Pops. My goodness, those stubby little gnome legs just don't want to move him very quickly. He'll show up eventually. Here he comes. Once he gets in place, he tells you that he's going to do this tour thing, and what he wants is his tricked out ride has something in it to set his travel path in a way that other dirigibles can then follow along. So you are going to be in the position of following his path and telling him at the end how it looks. So you have to do a little more waiting while he gets himself situated, and then he finally takes off. And then you hope that his tinkered technology will actually let you follow him properly. And you wait for your ride. First he gets a little sweaty. He's probably a bit nervous, although he's pretending he's not. And then he tells you your ride will be soon. And whoa, lots of crystals. And you wait. And you wait a little more. It's not a horribly long wait. It just seems like more because I'm trying to fill the empty space. And there we go. There's our ride. Click on it. Relax, take a stretch, zoom yourself out so you can see it a little better, and just enjoy the pretty scenery for a minute. It really is an interesting and pretty ride, and it's far better than it was at the start of beta before all of these crystal spires actually got their pretty purple color, because they were a blinding white enough to give you a headache. I mean, they were glowing white. But once the art got in, it's just fantastic. These things are just so beautiful. It really is a pretty area, and you can see why Pops and Kessie really want to set up a tour through here, because it's pretty. And if you can do it without getting near any of the aggro creatures, great, you know, safe touring. Blah, 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 blah. But you get to see all the fungus men and then the butterflies and things like that. You come in for a landing, there's Pops. Well, getting through the tunnel is going to be just a little bit harder than just taking the balloon through, because they need to set up some sensors to give them guidance through the tunnels. You will receive a Fungus Fiend plushie. Isn't he gorgeous? Look at all those teeth. Ugh. And the recipe scroll for the tuning device. Now, the recipe scroll is called a tuning device. What you're actually going to be making are tuners. So first off, you grab 2 handfuls of Pop's all-purpose coal from this little container here. Then you go ahead and craft, but you're going to be looking for tuner, not tuning. So make sure you remember that. And since you need to do 8, and it only makes 4 apiece, you will be doing this combined twice. Luckily, it's a pretty quick and simple crafting combine. You will get a more difficult one near the end, but right now, this is just kind of straightforward. And once again, I forgot to list the ingredients, so I will do that in just a moment. And remember with these ingredients that you will need to double them. So what you will need are a total of 20 leucolyzite clusters, 20 humming azurite, 20 radiant algae, and 20 lunar mushrooms, and then the coal, which you get from the bin beside. Now, these are what you need to tune. They're all covered in some sort of fungus gunk, so they're not really good for navigation right now. Thankfully, whatever your tuning device is, it also clears off the fungus gunk, so they look a lot better and they will actually work. So you click on these 2, you get them tuned, you start heading up the path, tune another one. When you have this fork here, go left. And just follow along. Degunk and tune all 8 of them along the way. Get sidetracked by your pet flittering into your frame of reference and then back out again. All 8 are done. What do you do now? You're at the end. Well, there's something down here. So you look, and there's a jetpack, and there's a note. And the note says, I left you something fun to get you to the next location. You'll have to take your mount off, though, silly. I'm not a miracle worker. Enjoy, Pops. So, as it says, take your mount off. Dismount. Click the jetpack. You'll find yourself all garbed up, just like Pops had been, in what they call their flight suit, and you're riding the jetpack. Whee! And in a normal area, these things would be aggro, but thankfully you're going on a path that is aggro-free. You don't have to worry about it. What you do have to worry about once it lands you is, oh dear, Pops is hanging on by his fingernails. Oh, what a klutz. So you help him up. Then he gets settled. Resummon your mount just so that you've got the run speed going. Talk to Pops. Find out what happened. Then he wants you to make a telescope so that his tourists will be able to get a little bit of a view. Go up the ramp, around, and up the ramp to the crafting area. Grab another handful of coal. Then you want auto. Now you're going to need 12 leucosite clusters, 12 humming azurite, 12 hornbeam spruce log. I can talk, really, I can. 12 radiant algae, and then 5 of the coal, which is what a handful gives you. So again, another straightforward little combine. It's an all-class craft, so it's using the geocraft. Nice and simple. Boom, boom, done. Do a 180 more or less, and you see that glowing spot over there. And that glowing spot is where you're going to put the telescope. Once you put the telescope, you click on the glowy area. You get your point of view changed for a moment, and you have just a few moments to just swivel around and look, and then it's done. Now, there's a dirigible. No sign of pops. You know what to do. Follow pops. They really did a wonderful job on the art for this expansion. I'm really enjoying all of the different scenery and sights. But it's just a nice, mellow little ride. And you get a feel for exactly how big the echo caverns are. It doesn't seem like it at first because you start out in the dig site area, but it really is big. And you can even see some of those sensor arrays that are guiding you through, and they're doing their thing. And all the pretty little rings coming out of them as they're sending out their signal. And then you get into the Teggy area. And you go, and you go, and you're getting there. You're almost done. Enjoy the sights for a little longer. Just zen. Stretch. Breathe. Wait for Pop's next mishap. Because you just get that feeling he's that sort of guy. You're great on ideas, but doesn't really have all that good a situational awareness, which is why he fell off the platform when his balloon stopped and he didn't. Ooh, pretty waterfalls. And really, you are almost there. I know. You're doing the, are we there yet? Are we there yet? But there you go. There's Pop's in sight. You land safely. Go talk to him. And he admits that he got so excited that he just plopped everything down here. But he's wondering if there might be a better area. So he wants you to go across the way, which isn't that far. So you go down the ramp, you hang a left, and then you're going to hang another left up here. Once you see the slope going up, because you're going to want to see if there's a better view of the waterfalls. Now, I'm going to go to first person view, and I'm going to turn off all of my windows. And I'm going to run up here and watch closely because you're not going to see this a second time. Here's a little Teggy. You get close to him and roar. This guy is not good. Unfortunately, he's just turned the Teggy into a chicken. And it should have been you. He was aiming at you. He missed. He hit the Teggy, who's just going to stand around going bok bok. And you really don't want Pops over there. Pops is so accident prone. You don't want him anywhere near that thing trying to figure out a way to defeat it, chase it away, whatever. So you just go with telling him that it's not a good area, and he trusts you. But he decides that he wants to, when he's doing the tours, do a little sightseeing along the way, and maybe he'll check that place out for himself. And you don't want to tell him what's really there because he'll take it as a challenge. So you tell him there's just a lot of bees and wasps and things like that, and not to risk it. Little more chat. You bounce around some name ideas, and he thinks Pop's Raid Venture Tours sounds good. So that's what he's going to go with. You take the balloon, and you're going back to the expedition instance. Now you've been kind of winding your way through and partly back again, so it's not as long a trip on this way back through as it was to get there. You still do get to see some pretty sights and so forth, and you're not able to evac at this point. You actually have to take the balloon. But it is a really neat dirigible and a fun little effect. And at the end of this, you will get, at the very end, you will get a house pet version of this dirigible so that you can have it in your house, which I think is really neat. And they've just adjusted the sizing on it, so it'll resize really small and it will resize pretty big too. So now you run down and you speak with Kessie, Pop's wife, who just arrived. Tell her the real reason why you told him not to go up on that hill. And she sends you back to Hulda. So back we go. And we're almost done this second quest. Hang left. There's Hulda. You tell her you're done, and there, as mentioned, there's the dirigible model. You also get 10,000 faction with Fortal Mist Trade Commission. You get an achievement of Through the Belly of the Beast, which also gives you some guild status. And you are done. The next quest, which I'm just going to whiz through for a moment so I remember the name, is Paying the Piper. And that will pick up right where you left off. And we will pick up right where I left off in the next video.